Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna see. I was really hoping I could pull it up. Oh, on here. I promise I will figure out these lives at some point. I'm really excited to talk about re-socializing our dogs tonight. I'm gonna wait for a few people to jump on, and then we're gonna get started. Have a lot of stuff to chat about. We'll probably talk a lot more about re-socializing for a while. My plan is to put some stuff for puppies um, on the group. So the posts are going to be for like puppies. We're going to go through age groups, but there are things that you can then go and apply on with your dogs. So older dogs. So we're going to talk kind of about re-socializing and kind of working through the difficult stuff. So, alrighty, if you're on, you can say hello. I would love to chat with you, but I'm really excited. So we're going to get started. My son, right before he went to bed, he's almost 5. Hold on, let me make sure you can hear me. He's almost 5. And he told my husband, he came downstairs and he goes, Crosby would like you to draw a picture of him riding a pterodactyl for when he gets up in the morning. So that is my, that's what I get to do after I'm done with this live is draw my son riding on a pterodactyl. So wish me luck. Okay, so we're going to talk about re-socializing our dogs, and there is a lot that kind of goes into re-socializing. So when we're socializing our dogs, ideally, or their golden socialization period time really is 5 weeks old through 16 weeks of age. And so when they're with a breeder that is actually doing some of these socialization programs with them, they get a really good start. However, a lot of us don't know what our puppies have gotten before they've come home to us. There's really good rescues that send mama dogs with their puppies, and they're doing a lot of socialization work and stuff with them as well. But just getting a puppy from wherever, you don't know what their socialization experience has been. So when we're working with a puppy during that 5 weeks to 16 week time frame, is so important that we're exposing them to so many different things, because that's when their brains just like soak it all in and they're able to move through things a lot quicker. It's also setting them up for success later on when we have hard things happen. Dogs that have been really well socialized, I'm going to go over what that kind of looks like, but the dogs that have been really well socialized, they're kind of able to move back through things. Not always, but they're usually able to kind of bounce back a little bit easier. So their brains do accept the socialization best by 16 weeks of age. And when we miss that really important time frame, it is a lot harder to get socialization that is effective or is it's possible to re-socialize. It's hard, but it is possible. I've had people call me on the phone and it just breaks my heart because they called a trainer and they were telling them the experiences that they were having with their dogs. And then they call me crying and they're saying, they told me I could never fix my dog because they weren't socialized within this time frame. And so I've ruined my dog and there's nothing that absolutely nothing can be done. And that's not true. So I want to kind of go over my last experience raising a puppy. So Skippy is now 3 years old, but we brought her home at 8 weeks. I went and saw her every single week at the breeders. They were doing a lot with her, and I brought her home and I was ready to go. And we kind of had an unexpected experience. Well, it wasn't unexpected. At that time, we adopted my daughter. And so we knew we were bringing a puppy home. We knew we were most likely adopting our daughter. And so what we didn't expect was for my daughter to come home and scream for 4 months. And so I was busy spending a lot of time with my daughter, holding her, and Skippy did miss out on some really important socialization stages during that time frame as well. I just didn't have as much knowledge on socialization as I do now. And so there's a part of me that looks back and go, I wish I really would have had some information and a really like firm plan on how to socialize Skippy, because it would have made my life a lot easier. The other thing that I see as far as it goes with socialization or socializing the puppies is that we go to the vet and they say, do not take them anywhere because you don't want to run the risk of parvo. And while that is true, we can still take our puppies out and get socialization done with them. We just have to carry them around. So people that jump in a puppy class with me, once they bring that puppy home, there is a lot of focus on month 2 to 3 with that puppy, just getting out and doing a lot of socialization with their puppies. And so when Skippy came home, we did not get a lot of socialization done. And as she got older, I noticed more and more things. And there were some things that I didn't think we had a big issue with until it like came out of nowhere. I was like, whoa, I did not expect that to happen. So I have been working with Skippy for the last 2 years on re-socializing her to lots of different things. She did get a lot of socialization as far as people in our shop where she would come to work with me and in the house for a little while, but outside on the property and then in the neighborhoods and things like that, we really started struggling with some reactivity. And there are some things that we still have some reactivity to. It's not aggression, but she definitely is more reactive than any dog that I've ever had. And I look back on some of that socialization piece and I go, that was on me. Now, we have come so far from where we were when I started working with her. So it is possible to make huge gains, but it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but your dog will thank you for it. And it really does allow them to have a much, much happier life. So we are going to be able to re-socialize the dog. So when I'm working with an older dog that has some socialization issues, we're going to go ahead and pick from our sections and decide which area we are struggling with the most. So when I'm socializing a puppy, we are socializing not just dogs and people. We are going to be socializing different sights. We're socializing different sounds, sight, smell, sounds, locations, people, dogs, other animals, and like objects. So our wheelchairs and anything with wheels and things like that that you just didn't really think that we need to until the skateboard rules pass and you're like, oh, my dog freaked out about that. I didn't expect it, but I missed that. I've been there. So we have a lot of information and a lot of things that we really need to be doing when we first bring these puppies home. But if we missed out on that, so with Skippy, hers was people, but mostly people at a distance. So when I started that re-socialization piece with her, what I focused on the most was lots of exposure with people at a distance. So what we're looking at for socialization rules, whether it's puppy or an older dog that we're re-socializing, is as we approach each new situation we put the dog into, they're going to take their cues from you. So we need to make sure that we've got a nice, calm, collected person and we can stay calm. We're never, ever, ever going to force our dog or our puppy to say hello if they don't want to. So I'm a big advocate of really working through things with our dogs, but we're not going to force it because that's really not fair to them, especially when it is people or other dogs and they're really uncomfortable, because dogs have 2 ways to say no thank you. One is to move away from what makes them uncomfortable, and the second is to growl or to bite. And usually the first instinct is to move away. But we've been taught so much information. I hear this from people all the time. Is I was trying to socialize my puppy, and the puppy would just kind of move away, and I would say, nope, we're going to say hello. And they will kind of move the puppy up to the person. And now we're dealing with some reactivity, and maybe they bit somebody because they just didn't have that, what's the word? They didn't have someone saying, no, don't touch my dog. And that is something that a lot of people don't like to say. So people come up and they're like, oh my gosh, your dog is gorgeous. Can we say hi? And most people are going to say yes. And then I am out and about and I watch it happen all the time. And people's dogs are like, oh my gosh. And they're trying to move away from their owner, and the owner's like bringing them back around. And the dog is like freaking out. They don't want to say hello. Your dog does not have to say hello to people, other dogs, if they don't want to. That is not like a necessary thing in life. However, they do have to accept being in those situations where no one's looking at them, talking or touching them, type of a thing. So we do want them to be able to be successful and be able to be out and about without being this like anxious mess. However, we're not going to force this socialization on them, or we're not going to force the interaction, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when I am out and about with my dog and I'm trying to re-socialize, I'm not going to make them say hello, but I am going to try and find those places where I can get them curious about something. So if I have a dog that maybe is a little bit nervous about kids, we might go do some obedience work around a park. We're going to be at a distance for a while until I know my dog isn't so anxious. And then we might move a little closer, or I might just go take the dog with me. I might take the dog with me. We might sit on the bench for a few minutes, and then we're just going to leave. Alyssa says, yes, so many people want to say hi to Zuri, and it's so hard to say no to people, but she's so shy, as you know. I know Zuri is really, really shy. And I think that is one of the hardest things that we do. Like, people come up and like, oh my gosh, your dog is beautiful. They're so cute. And can we say hi? And our dogs really need us to say, no, we're training. My favorite thing, and I try not to be rude unless they get rude back to me, is I'm training and then I walk away. Another thing that I found very helpful for my dogs that are super shy and you just are tired of being approached is I wear big headphones. So people, like, even if I don't have music or anything going, people, if they talk to me, I don't have to pretend to ignore them. I mean, I still do, but I don't have to pretend because they see the big headphones. So that is one thing that has helped. I remember one time I was in Home Depot and this lady followed me around for a long time. And I sat down to do some sit on the dog work with her in like the patio section. The lady came over and she's like, oh, good. Now I can say hi to your dog. And I was like, what? Headphones. But people will go out of their way. People will follow you. I try and be really, really, really nice and just say, no, we're training, and I move right along, because it does allow our dogs to build some trust in us. Zuri, Alyssa, Zuri may never love saying hi to other people, and that's really okay. When I'm looking at a dog and I'm working with a dog that maybe is a nervous or a scared dog, I try and figure out maybe why we're dealing with that. But at the same time, it's kind of like with people, we all have our own different personalities, and some of us are much more social and some of us aren't. And some dogs really just aren't that social. They're really happy with their people, but they don't really want to have to say hello to other people. And like I said before, as long as they can just be in a group, so like Zuri's in the group class, she can function. She's not anxious with other people around. She's good to go. Like, we don't like to force it because it does make that normal reaction to back away and move away, which is what we want to keep, instead of that's not working. I'm feeling cornered and now I'm going to go ahead and bark or bite or growl. We want to not put our dogs in that situation. So being polite is always the best way to go. But the people that are like, I should be able to touch your dog, people tell me that. And I go, no, you don't have to touch every dog you see. And then I move right along. So advocating for our dogs is so, so, so important. And that's with people, that's with other dogs. So I've had people, I was walking Oakley the other day and this puppy was like going crazy on the end of the rope or the end of the leash. And the lady came up and she was like, can my dog say hi to yours? And I was like, no, we're training. And she just like got the most mortified look on her face and like turned and she walked away. And I was really nice about it. But at the same time, if that puppy had jumped on Oakley's head, she would have totally given her a snap because Oakley does not like puppies. And I know that. And it would not have been fair for me to have put Oakley in that position. So we have to be really smart about what our dogs are okay with and not okay with. And they're going to be different, just like some people are okay with a lot of touch and some people are like, please don't touch me at all. Like we all have our own, personalities, and dogs are not different. Alyssa, I've tried to come to accept that she's just not a people dog. As long as you ignore her, she's great. But it's hard when people come over. She's so scared. Yep. I would just say, and I watched, I had a client who had two big old huskies, and I watched her at the end of like the class had ended, people were leaving, and these two kids just like raced over. And these one of her dogs did have some pretty severe aggression towards kids, and they ran over, and she's like, stop. They were about probably 10 feet in front of her. She said, stop, don't come closer. You can't just run up to dogs. And she gave them a really firm but very kind lesson in that. So it really is, it is hard to advocate for our dogs, but the more you do, it's going to be easier as they come up. She's not going to be as scared because she knows you're not going to let anything happen to her. So now I like to find things or places for them to kind of get curious. So Alyssa, with Zuri, if people came over and you just say, hey, don't look, don't talk, don't touch my dog, let's just chat. You're going to look for those moments to see if she's maybe curious. We're going to let her have the opportunity to kind of go sniff, approach if she wants to. You're still not going to let anyone touch or talk to her, and you're going to give her that praise. So if I'm out working with my dog and she's terrified, so my shepherd would be afraid of any new thing out there. So if some days like the snow would started to melt and they would, the blocks of snow would fall off the back, and it wasn't there yesterday. So my shepherd would lose it, and we would kind of walk up and we would say hi, and she would sniff and she would be like, okay, cool. And we'd move along. I never forced her to go up to it, but we got to the point where anytime we encountered something that was brand new to her and she was starting to have this like, whoa, freak out reaction, we would go up, we'd say hi if she'd want to. I just give her the chance to be curious, to check it out, and we move right along. So those are things that you can do, Alyssa, with Zuri, is you can have people come up and chat with you. Don't look, don't touch, don't talk to my dog. We're just chatting. And if you see her go up and sniff them, you're going to give the praise. What a good puppy. And then we can just move right along. We do want to give them the opportunities to check things out without any pressure. So that's the biggest kind of rule that I have. Now, when it goes in, I'm going to go over a few things in each of those categories that we are, that are really important for all around socialized dog. So majority of everything we do when we are working to re-socialize our dogs can be done with that calm canine or that sit on the dog exercise at the park. So get that really well done in your home. So in the spring, if you're like, okay, we're going to go start doing some of this re-socialization, a lot of what we're going to be doing is letting the dog watch and look and see what's going on around in the world in a safe way where no one's approaching, saying hello or anything like that. So sight is one of these things. So if I've got a brand new puppy, I'm going to carry them all around everywhere I go. I remember during my apprenticeship, so I had to go watch so many training sessions, and then I had to teach a session in front of April before I could pass my apprenticeship. And so I remember she got a new puppy during one of the sessions I was watching and then teaching. And so Wednesday night, she brought that puppy home Wednesday night. We had just done a class, and then on Thursday morning, it was my turn to go teach the class, and she pulls out a baby sling. She puts that puppy right in her baby sling, and she just took that puppy everywhere. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm socializing. And that was like the very first moment where I learned a lot more about, I mean, getting the puppy out, even though there's that parvo risk. Once we get past that 16 weeks and they've had all their vaccinations, whether you've done a lot of this socialization, you can still go do more. It's just when it ends at 16 weeks doesn't mean we don't continue socialization, but we're going to allow for sights. So we're going to go and you can sit and watch the world go by. It can be on your front porch, like with Skippy. That was a big thing. She'd see people in the distance and she would start losing her mind. And so we went and we spent a lot of time sitting on the front porch, letting her watch the world go by, where she's in this calm state of mind. So you can go to the park, along the river, whatever it is you're going to want to do. So when I'm working with tiny puppies in that socialization window, we do 4 to 5 exposures of all these different things. Now, when I have an older dog that has gone past that socialization period, we are going to want to do 7 to 10 exposures and then more if we need to. So, with Skippy, we did 10 exposures of people in our neighborhood, at a distance, and we were still having some issues. So I went out and we did more, and then she started doing really well. And then we went to the next neighborhood over and she was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do here. So as we're working through these socialization exercises, we also have to help them generalize. So some of your dogs are going to just go, okay, I got it. And others of yours, like, I've got it in our neighborhood, just like Skippy. And then it was, I don't have it in the next neighborhood. And so we would work in that neighborhood, and she's like, I've got it here, but along the river we weren't good. So you're going to be working through things over and over and over again. When you're doing a re-socializing work, like I said at the very beginning, it is something that is possible, but it is really, really a time commitment, and it is difficult to do, but it does make your life and your dog's life so much better. So sight, you can sit, do the calm canine, or you sit on the dog exercise and let the dog watch the world go by and make sure no one comes up to say hello during that time. So sight is really important. Sounds, a lot of this stuff, they're going to just hear it. If you're out in the park, they're going to be hearing kind of things that go on around. If I have a dog that is struggling with some of the stuff in the house, like our hair dryers, vacuum, things like that, you can totally use YouTube videos. You're just going to play it really low and then build the sound. And you're just going to keep doing that, kind of like what we did for desensitizing the dog for the doorbell. You're just going to increase the volume on those sounds until the dog isn't showing any stress signs. So people, we kind of talked about that before, really advocating for a dog. We're going to sit on the porch, the park bench. No one's interacting. We're just really letting the dog observe. And then if your dog, so Alyssa with Zuri, if you get to the point where she's doing really well and you have people that you want to meet up on a walk and they're going to have really good cookies and they're not going to give her any attention, but they can throw little cookies at her so that she's more like, oh, hey, people, like, feed me good stuff. You're welcome to do something like that to really kind of make people more exciting to dogs, but you don't have to do that. It really is dogs that are wary, we're really having people ignore them. And then when we have the dogs that are like super overexcited, we're having the people ignore them. So here is the thing I see the most with socialization. We've heard they need to meet lots of dogs and they need to meet lots of people. And so we go out there and we're doing all of these different exposures to different people and different dogs. We're saying hello to every single dog we see, or every person that we come across. And then we get to the point where we're done socializing and our dog starts getting frustrated because they're like, wait a second, I was saying hello to every single dog. And we start seeing some reactivity, frustration-based reactivity, because they were allowed to say hello to everybody and they were crazy and excited. And now they're not allowed to say hello to people or other dogs anymore. So one thing when I am working on socialization is we are saying hello to people and we are saying hello to dogs, but in a very, very, very controlled manner. So people come up to me with a brand new puppy. I'm like, hey, can I pet your dog? No, we're training. I maybe will have them say hello every 3 or 4 times. And it's real quick and only if the puppy is calm. So I may have them in a sit and then someone can pet them and then we move right along. Same with other dogs. When I am re-socializing a dog, I am not going to the dog park. That is a really good place to create a lot of trauma for your dog. I'm not saying that they're like the worst thing in the world, but a majority of the people I see with some aggression have had attacks at the dog park. And so I would say stay away from them. And I would go to trying to find a good doggy daycare that could do some play dates that is well structured. They are there and they pick groups that your dog can go into. That can be a really helpful space to do that, but also doing a one-on-one with your neighbor or your friend, grouping up and meeting that way is awesome. Here's the thing, your dog does not need doggy friends. Like, you can have one or two, but going to the dog park and letting them just kind of go crazy isn't necessary. Our dogs don't have to like other dogs. Like I said before, they just need to accept being around other dogs and kind of minding their own business. That's what really we're looking for when we're doing a lot of socialization, is can our dogs just be with other things going on around? And so I, again, like to do that sit on the dog, where we go sit and we're watching people, we're watching dogs, we're watching the kids play soccer in the background, all this kind of stuff. We're just going to go sit and let the dog experience life. Other animals like squirrels, cats, birds, the animals that dogs like to chase, we just want to go sit and be calm around them. We're not going to be chasing them, anything like that. We can just be calm. So a lot of what we're doing with our dogs in everyday life, regardless of where they're at, is teaching them how to be calm. Because when they have that calm state of mind, when the cat runs across the street, your dog's already calm. We're not in this amped up stage anyways, where they're going to be like, boom, I want to run and chase that cat. They may get interested in the cat, but we want them in that calm state where they can just kind of be like, oh, look, there's a cat. Oh, look, there's a squirrel, type of a thing. And then wheeled objects are probably the thing that I don't think about the most when I go to socialize my dogs. So it's not a bad thing to make sure your puppies are able to go up and smell a skateboard, the bike, the scooter, all those type of things when they're not moving, and then when they are moving. And then if you have a dog that maybe is struggling with like skateboards, you can go sit at a distance at the dog or at the skate park, far enough away that your dog actually can bring themselves down and calm down, and then you'll move closer. Then you're gonna just hang out there and sit on the dog until they can calm themselves down, until you can go sit next to the skate park and they're listening to the skateboards and all that kind of stuff without like losing their mind. That probably will take some time. Just so you know, when we're re-socializing, I said 7 to 10 exposures before we go, okay, are we moving on from this? Yes or no? If you get to 10 exposures with that skateboard and your dog is still losing their mind, you're going to continue the exposure until they're no longer losing their mind. There are some things we are never going to be able to socialize our dogs to, and it's more of a management thing when it comes down to that. So with Skippy, she was always probably going to have some reactivity issues in some way or another. Now it's very managed, but I don't imagine it's going to ever go away. But we are going to continue to keep working on it for her life. They're so, oh, thanks, Alyssa. I'm glad you are liking these tips. Here is kind of the last thing I want to say when we are talking about re-socialization. So re-socialization and confidence building, those go hand in hand. A lot of times our dogs that weren't socialized well, or we had a good socialization path and then something maybe happened. So I will see dogs that are well socialized that do have, like, there's a dog attack on the walk or something like that, and now their dog is fearful, or they are having issues with socialization because of something that happened. We have to go back and start re-socializing. Now, what I typically will see is it's now a confidence issue with these dogs that we're out from day one, and we are putting them in the situations and we're allowing them to learn and grow through these socialization time frame as puppies. They are building a lot of confidence. Now, when we get to the point where if we miss that, or we adopt a dog later on in life and we just don't know their background. A lot of times it comes down to they're timid, they're shy, they don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, and we need to start building that. So if we can start building confidence, you're also going to see some of those re-socialization skills come up as well. So with Skippy, like I said before, we got to the point where we could go walk in our neighborhood and we were good to go. But we moved into the next neighborhood and she would lose her mind again when she saw people at a distance. So what I started doing with her was also really working to build a lot of confidence. Because when I looked at her when she was starting to have that reactivity, this was a fear response it was a fear response. And so this wasn't her being aggressive or mean, but she was afraid of the person in the distance that she had no clue about. So what we started doing was building confidence. And the best way to build confidence is to have them start working through hard things. Again, we are not going to force it, but I like to go to the playground and maybe I'll walk up the first couple steps and back down, up and down, up and down. I think I did I think I have a video of it. I'll see if I can repost it in here, of Skippy when we were working on going up and down. If you're in the Rigby area or you want to go make a field trip over to the Pirate Park outside the fairgrounds, they have this big rock play equipment thing, and it has a little tunnel and stuff like that. I spent a lot of time there with Skippy. Now, when I'm working on some of this confidence building, I'm never going to force the dog. I'm not going to like take the leash and make them go up the thing. I will take another dog that has some confidence. So Oakley would come with us and I'd have her go up and Skippy's like, and I would go up and Skippy's like, wait, I can do that too. And she would go up. So if you have another dog that has a lot of confidence, you can help them build your dog's confidence as well. Or if I go up the stairs, your dog, you might just go sit a couple stairs up and your dog can come up and join you and be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Or they can stay on the ground and see that you're there. And maybe you do that for a few times before they go up. So when I'm building confidence, I don't have a problem using cookies and I don't have a problem using like a favorite toy. So when we went on to build confidence in Skippy, tennis ball. I get her to go all the way up the rock wall for her tennis ball. She would go all the way up and down the playground equipment for that tennis ball. We go to the vet. She does not like the vet. She has her tennis ball. She carries it in her mouth like a little pacifier. She's happy as can be. So if you need to use something like that to help build that confidence, 100% recommend it. Agility builds confidence. That's what we spent a lot of time doing with my shepherd Billy. We went through class and her confidence skyrocketed just doing obedience training and building that bond between us. And then we moved on and we did some agility work with her. And I just saw her grow so big. I don't know of any really good agility in the area. I think the Kennel Club does some, but you can buy just like little kits on Amazon that are super fun with jumps and things like that. So there are so many different things we can do to kind of build that confidence. And it really is going to be going up and down, up and down. I remember this lady, she emailed me with her 4-year-old lab and she goes, I don't know what to do with her. She's terrified of the neighbors. She's terrified of this, this, and this. And they signed up for my group class. And I remember they came into class and the dog was like terrified, the leg or like tail tucked between the legs. And was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And from week 1 to about week 3, the dog was terrified. And the dog was doing what it was asked. It was like, I'm here. I don't want to be here, but here I am. And I remember on week 4, I saw that tail start wagging and I saw her interacting and watching the world go by. And then on week 7, I showed her some of the exercises to do, like jump up on the picnic table and jump down. And this dog just like skyrocketed. And it was so fun to see them graduate on week 8 because this dog was a totally different dog. This dog went from like zero social skills to like a lot of social skills. She was a social dog. She did like people that came into the home. So she was already more of a social dog. She just didn't like the neighbors, or she didn't like them out and about. Same with kind of like Skippy. She's a social dog. She likes people. She just doesn't like them when she can't be near them. So I will put the guide up, but over the next 4 Thursdays, that's when I'm going to start doing posts. I'm going to be posting puppy socialization kind of information. And if you are needing to re-socialize your older dog, you're welcome to take what's on there and start applying it to your dog's needs. So just remember, if you've got a puppy before 4 months, you're doing 4 to 5 exposures of each thing. And if you have an older dog, you're going to be doing 7 to 10 exposures of those things. If you've already kind of exposed your dog and they don't really mind, then just check it off and you don't have to work on that. But if you are working really hard to re-socialize your dog, pick the one section that you need the most help with and start there and really get them socialized around whatever it is, and then continue to build that confidence. And the more confidence your dog has, the quicker they're going to move through some of those other things. Oh, Lindsay, thanks. Was listening while I was driving, so I couldn't comment, but I'm loving all these ideas and tips here. Thanks for doing these lives. I am really enjoying doing these lives. I will have one next week, and I want to talk about impulse control. I did a post, and then I got really sick, and so I didn't end up getting more stuff put on there. So next week at 7, I'm going to do impulse control live and kind of go over some information there that way. But thanks for jumping on. I really have enjoyed doing these. I feel, I don't know, it feels weird not having people that I'm able to like chat with, but I hope that I try to stay organized enough that, you know, you can go through and get what you need from it. So I try and follow the guide so that at least everything kind of stays in the same order. But does anyone have any questions at all? That I got a couple minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them about socialization, re-socialization. And like I said, next Thursday or Thursdays, I'll be posting just posts in the group all about puppy socialization. And you can take what you need from there and apply it to your older dogs. If you have questions as you're watching the replay, feel free to post them. I'll come back and respond to those. Next week, I will be on and we're going to talk about impulse control. So I'm going to I'll post a video. Actually, I'm going to figure something out, but I want to kind of do an impulse control challenge in between like today and next Monday. So we can kind of, or actually we'll go over impulse control and then we'll have an impulse control challenge starting next Monday night. I think that will be the way to go. So I'm really excited. Impulse control is a fun thing. It's much needed. It's needed by like all dogs. So, okay guys, I think that is everything. If you have questions, we all could use a little impulse control help. Yes, Lindsay, myself included. So I will chat with you guys next week, and feel free to post any questions or anything that you have on the group. I'm on and active, and I will answer your questions, and I will chat with you guys next week.